What's going on, guys? Back for another episode of Q Pill. Now in this episode, I wanted to get into something that I noticed the past couple days, because y'all know I'm always observing human beings in the wild. And I'm always observing women. Yeah, because I love women, so I'm always observing women. Women are beautiful, why not? But in the midst of observing women in the wild, I noticed a few things. Women don't really handle criticism too well. They don't like it. They don't respond to it very well. Let's get into it. So on my Instagram page the other day, I posted a video about the male value system. I posted about what men like. Everybody knows what men like. Well, men know what men like. Today's modern women, I'm not so sure if modern women know what men like. But I tried to help them out a little bit. I tried to post what men actually like. And some follower who doesn't follow me, she didn't like what I had to say very much. And she said that my post was laced in misogyny and toxic masculinity. As y'all know, I don't really give a shit about those terms because they're scientifically invalid. You can't show me an example of toxic masculinity or misogyny exemplified in nature anywhere. I've never seen a toxically masculine lion. I've never seen a misogynistic male tiger. You can't show me it in nature. So I brushed that kind of stuff off. But what was interesting enough is that when I tried to correct her and when I tried to let her know that, ma'am, I'm a male. And as a behavioral coach and a relationship coach, I know what men like because I talk to men and I'm also a man. You know, men tend to like certain qualities and characteristics in women because we're the gatekeepers of marriage. And if we're the gatekeepers of marriage, then we need women to exemplify the qualities that we find desirable so that we can want to get down on one knee for you. It's the same exact thing that men do with women when we want sex. We know that men require a certain level of skill, qualifications, credentials to make a woman want to make her panties drop for us. It's really common sense on my end. But apparently she knew more about men than me. But what was interesting was the fact that she resorted to ad hominem when I'm trying to stick to the topic. And if you know me, you know I typically don't argue with women because that's usually where it goes, to ad hominem. And I don't have time to argue with women over irrationality, unreasonable things. I'm pointing out, I have an argument, I have premises, there's a topic. I like to stick to that topic using my premises to support my argument, But it was interesting enough because under another post on my page, I observed another guy and another woman having a debate in my comment section. So I wanted to see, I just sat back and I wanted to see exactly what was going on. And the guy was trying to explain to this woman as well that what men like is what men like. You know, we like femininity, we like fitness, we like fecundity, we like looks. And we was trying to say that educational attainment and income aren't predominantly significant factors in male desirability and what men desire in women. We will overlook your education and your income level if you're attractive. Your education and your income level will not make you more attractive to us if you aren't attractive. And women just seem to be offended by that concept. But I watched to see how this conversation would go, and to no surprise, the woman started insulting the guy first. She started coming at his dick size, telling him that, you know, she wouldn't date a man like him. She don't want a man like him. He's incompetent. He's weak, and just insulting this guy. She don't know this guy from a can of paint. She's never met this guy, but she's insulting his character. And I noticed that pattern as well. So then I go on Twitter. I'm scrolling on Twitter, and what I see on Twitter is really interesting. I see two girls arguing on Twitter, and these two girls, one girl tweeted something about abortion, and the other girl responded, and then from there it was verbal warfare. Bitch this, bitch that, bitch this, bitch that. They completely forgot about the point. They completely forgot about the topic. And I just noticed, I'm like, man, women really don't like criticism. Women really struggle with criticism. And I started to think, I'm like, why do women not like to be criticized? Why do women see criticism as an attack? Why are they so triggered? Why is it so offensive? Why do they get so defensive when you simply try to give them another perspective? And it's interesting because there was a study I read about a couple years ago. It was done at the University of Florida. And this study was looking at the perceptual differences in the way men and women view reality. To no surprise, men were a lot more practical, pragmatic, evidence-based in their thinking and the way they perceive reality. Women were the opposite, a lot more subjective, theoretical, unsubstantiated, a lot more moralistic. And what the most interesting thing about this study was that both men and women were equally confident in their perceptions. Now, this is why we say men tend to be more logical. We tend to see the world in more black and white. Women tend to give the world some gray area. They see more nuance, more abstract thinking. And it's not necessarily wrong, but the problem with unsubstantiated theoretical thinking is that you tend to say things that when asked for specificity or evidence or proof, you wouldn't be able to provide that in an actual observable real life scenario. And if you have conversations with women, you'll often see that this is the case. Anytime a woman tries to challenge me on my perspective or an argument or a contend, I simply ask her, what does she mean? Definitions, specificity, real life examples. And most women can't explain it to an actual occurrence or the experience, their anecdotal experience that they actually use is there's attribution errors. What she thought she experienced wasn't actually what she experienced. And this is detrimental because this is why a lot of modern women are single. Because for one, that confidence in your perspective, that study concluded men and women were equally as confident in their perspectives, that's a problem. Because in objective reality, there's typically one truth. And if your perception is predicated on fallacy, attribution errors, misinterpretations, anecdotal experience, you're modifying definitions and concepts so that it can align with your narratives and what you believe, then you're building a house on sand. And here comes the rain. It's so interesting to see women get so upset when guys like myself simply try to deliver a message that nature wrote. And a lot of women will say, well, no, it's not the message, it's the delivery. But I've seen all too often that regardless of the delivery, I can patty cake it, sugarcoat it as much as I can. But the woman will still hear the offense in the message. Babe, you gaining a little weight. I'd be more attracted to you if you lose some weight. You're still beautiful, but my attraction kind of. All she gonna hear is the fact that you coming at her weight. Not how you put it, not how you try to explain it. And this is what a lot of men have to deal with, and this is a problem in a lot of relationships. Because when we try to tackle a problem together, it's supposed to be you and I against the problem. But as I'm delivering the message of what the problem is so that both of us can tackle it, so that we can resolve it, so that we can come to a conclusion, you start attacking me for stating what the problem is. Now I have to redirect your energy from me so that you don't see me as the offender, as the attacker, and I'm just trying to help. I'm on your side. Far too many men have to redirect women to help them understand that constructive criticism, trying to correct an inaccurate statement or an invalid perspective, is simply trying to help. We're trying to provide insight. And a lot of women get defensive with that. A lot of women become combative. They become stubborn because a lot of women think they know it all. Let's just face it. A lot of women think they know it all. And what they go off is emotional reasoning. Women use their emotions to determine their realities. And it causes issues because your feelings are not facts. And a lot of men have to put up with this. This is why a lot of modern women are single. Men don't want to put up with the combativeness. And you know what? A lot of this combativeness come from those degrees. You see, a woman think because she got a degree, now she's a know-it-all. She think because she's making good money, she know it all. And men ain't looking for that. We don't need all that competitiveness, all that combativeness. At the end of the day, your perspective is still predicated on abstract, hypotheticals, outlying situations that when I ask you in reality, where does this occur at? You can't explain it, but you're saying that there's a possibility that somewhere out there in the ether, what you're saying may happen. It's too much. Women struggle with criticism. We're not calling y'all stupid. Actually, by trying to correct y'all, we actually think y'all are intelligent enough to understand what we're saying and reasonable enough to alter your perspective so that you can see things in a way that you didn't see them before. But instead, no, we end up in verbal warfare. And this is how women are. You see, men talk, we have conversations to establish dominance and to solve problems. Women, on the other hand, women like to talk because they like to share feelings. They like to grow closer. They use it as a form of intimacy. But it can be detrimental, especially when problems arise. Because as a guy, you're a problem solver. You see an issue, you want to correct it. This issue requires you to criticize a behavior that she's exhibiting, and she takes offense to it. She gets on the defensive, she gets triggered, and now you guys end up arguing. This is the number one problem with women in the modern day. They simply see men as the enemy, and they don't see correction as a form of love. But it is. Tough love still has the word love in it. They don't see it as a form of love. They really are competing with men. And it's their own subjective perspectives and interpretations of when we try to correct them, that we're coming at them, that we're attacking them, we're trying to offend them, that keeps them in a state of constant combativeness. And that's what it is. We're simply trying to help, ladies. You ladies have to be willing to learn. We're not trying to jump down your throats. We're not trying to attack y'all, call y'all stupid. We're not doing any of that. We're trying to provide insight because a lot of women need to acknowledge that you reason through your emotions. You can be irrational. You get impulsive. You don't see clearly. And that's when men step in and become good leaders to settle you down, to help you see something from a logical perspective. Y'all have to stop seeing that as an attack. When women stop seeing men as the enemies and learn how to take correction and criticism as a form of insight, as a form of aid, as a form of love, then we can start improving the quality of our relationships. Until then, most modern women with their master's degrees and their PhDs are going to continue to be single because men aren't trying to get with you to compete with you about who's right and who's wrong. The need to be right will kill any relationship, especially when you're trying to build a house on sand, when your need to be right isn't predicated on objective reality. And the women who start to understand this, those women become wives. The women who struggle with this, those women remain single. Have to start acknowledging, accepting, so you can improve, adapt, and evolve. We're not your enemies, ladies. We're trying to help you, essentially. The women who get off the defensive and start working with us, those women will see what we mean. And the women who already do it, they already understand where I'm coming from. Acknowledge, accept, so you can improve and evolve, ladies. Over and out.